Well, Chris, you preached recently from 1 Corinthians about singleness, and I really appreciate that you took the time and preached about that topic, because it's something that isn't necessarily always talked about in the church. And so I loved how that created a space, like in our life groups, for us to discuss some of those both blessings and challenges of both singleness and marriage. And I hope it created a good space for people that are both married and single people to have some of those good conversations. And so I'm wondering, you're someone that is regularly shepherding, counseling all different people. What are, like, as a married person, if I really want to understand and be a blessing to a single person, what's a good question or way to bless them, even as I don't really understand that dynamic quite as well? At least I haven't been single for quite a while. And then conversely, like for the singles out there that really want to bless a married person, how can they approach, or what are the good questions to go there and have those helpful building up within the body of Christ discussions? Yeah,
that's good. Well, I'll answer it in a couple of comical ways, because you're asking me about kind of how I interact with people. And of course, I think probably some people that have been on the receiving end of my initiative would, and sometimes lack of tact and relationship, would say, to me, Chris, silence is golden. They might say, maybe you need to not push or engage as much. And my family likes to make fun of me as the progressive commercials, the insurance commercials on TV with the guy that's at the gas station and just starts talking to random people, or in the hardware store. That's definitely tends to be me. So maybe, everybody's going to have to take my thoughts and apply it however you feel comfortable within your personality. I tend to be ready to talk to a lot of different folks and enjoy that kind of experience of life. But I did think about a couple of things. One, I think everybody can talk to one another and ask genuine questions about each other's family, because if you're single, you've got a family, you've got parents, you've got cousins, you have others that are around you, and all those people matter to you and are significant to you. Probably have those relationships. And likewise, married folks have a spouse and maybe children as well. Again, these were just off the top of my head. Almost all of us can ask each other anytime about, like, what are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? So many people are listening regularly to like some kind of podcast that could just be entertainment, or could be some kind of spiritual edification or personal development. So asking people about, those kind of things. Of course, as generic as it sounds, like what do you enjoy doing in your free time? I mean, we call them hobbies, and some folks really like to work out. Some people like to be out of doors. Those things are useful as well. I made a couple other notes here. Of course, everybody's got some kind of job of some sort, and it may be, outside the home, maybe inside the home, in a marriage relationship. Unless somebody's, retired, if they're single, they're probably, engaged in some kind of meaningful work outside of that they're doing. And to ask people about their career, their work, what are their relationships like at work, I think is very fruitful. And then, of course, awesome thing about the body of Christ is, maybe you wouldn't ask this in your first conversation with somebody, but as you get to know that person a little bit at life group or in a passing setting at church, what kind of things are you experiencing in your relationship with Christ? How are you growing through connection with our church? How are you growing in worship? What kind of things, how are you meeting with the Lord? There's a bunch of different ways we could ask those questions. Again, maybe after we've had some more general questions to get to know each other. And both single people and married people forget that the person on the other side of the equation is perhaps envious of the other one, right? Now, hopefully a married person is not really thinking that they want to be single, but they're wrestling with the difficulties of marriage, and marriage doesn't make life perfect. It can make life more challenging sometimes as part of God's sanctifying work. If you talk to singles, especially who've feel like they might be called to marriage, so they haven't have felt a call from the Lord to lifelong singleness, then it can be easy to think, well, my situation would be better if I was married, and trying to just keep in mind that it's so easy for us to always think the grass is greener, and instead seek to have contentment and realize that the other person in their situation has challenges too. I think that breaks down that barrier as well to the degree that it exists there. I guess last thing I'll say is I do think something's wrong, and we need to try to figure out how to fix it in the stats that actually you helped find somewhere and shared with me with some knowledge of the sermon series that we were doing about the 35%-ish of the church, maybe less, that is single people, and that includes widows, divorced, those that might want to get married, not yet married, or those that are called to a life of singleness, and realizing in most of America and in Europe and so forth, at least, that almost 50% of the general population is single. So there's something going on there that we should be prayerful about. Yeah. And it could be that it goes both ways too. It's not, I think the church, again, based on those stats, is often majority married people. And it's a good thing to think about how we can reach out, but also for single folks that might be listening, is how can you seek connection more, even though you might feel some barriers to that, because we all need the body of Christ. And so I think if both sides are working on that, that'll help.
And discussing those things, I would think too,
what makes it difficult.
How can we as married people love singles better and vice versa.
Yep.
So.